Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Dylan from Airfare Gaming, and I'm coming at you with an updated Post-Banlist branded deck profile. Please do not mind the noise in the background. I'm currently at work and the air conditioning is on. I'm going to go through the list pretty quickly, and at the end I'm going to talk about some ratios, significant card combos, some bricks in the deck, alternate tech options, alternate side deck options, cards that I don't use anymore and reasons why I don't use them, as well as 2 combos I think everyone should know about. So we're going to start with the main deck. We are running 3 copies of Aluber, 3 copies of Albaz, 1 Quem, and 2 Cartesia. Then we're running 1 Tragedy, 1 Kit, 1 Mercurier, 1 Albion, 1 Lubellion, 1 Saronir, 1 Dark Magician, and we are still running the Gimmick Puppet. I'll further explain the Gimmick Puppet later. Some people don't want to run it, some people do. I personally want to run it. As for hand traps, we're running 2 Ash, 2 Nib, and 2 Imperm. For the spell cards, we have 3 Branded Fusion, 3 Branded Opening, 3 Fusion Deployment, 3 Crossout Designator, 1 Branded in Red, 1 Lost, 1 Called By, 1 Foolish, and for the only trap card other than the 2 Imperms, we are running Branded Retribution. Now let us go over the extra deck. I'm running 1 Granguinal, 2 Albion, 2 Mirror Jade, 1 Sanctifier, 1 Lubellion, 1 Titaniclad, 1 Rhinebrum, 1 Kiertis, and 1 Masquerade. We're running Sprined, Dragoon, Chimera, and Lulu. Some players aren't running Lulu. I think it's such a great card to tag out with Granguinal. As for the side deck, I have 1 copy of Jinzo and 1 copy of Invader of Darkness. Jinzo is for Labyrinth and Trap Tricks, and then Invader of Chaos is for Runic. I have 1 extra copy of Nibiru and 1 extra copy of Ash Blossom. This is for Branded, Labyrinth, anything that, you know, gets hurt somewhat by Ash. And then Nib, of course, everyone knows Nib's good against certain decks, like let's say Dang Long is now good in Sword Soul, so Sword Soul is also a fairly cheap deck, so I expect to see that at locals. I would also like to iterate that this deck was built off of a locals mindset. I probably would change the deck a little bit for a bigger tournament. So a lot of these options are personal choices for my locals. Then we have 1 Magnemite and 1 Druis Worm. This is good against Math Mech to hit the circular as well as Branded. And then I'm running Triple Shifter. Triple Shifter is pretty much good against anything except like Cash and Sprite. They don't get hurt that much by those. And with Shifter, you can play Lubellion with Branded Fusion and then send Albaz and Dark Magician to make Dragoon, and you pretty much win at that point. As for a going second option, I have Dark Ruler No More and triple Cosmic Cyclone. Alright, I'm going to talk about ratios real quick. So, some of the single cards to get to Branded Fusion consist of obviously Branded Fusion, Branded Opening, Aluber, Foolish, and Kit. That's 11 cards in the deck that get you to Branded Fusion, and you have an 82% chance of opening one of those in your opening hand going first. Some significant 2-card combos I have are Bestial card, any Bestial, whether it be Lubellion or Saronir, and Cartesia. Any way to Cartesia, whether it be Fusion Deployment or Cartesia herself. The second 2-card combo that's really good is any Bestial plus Branded Fusion. And then you have also Quem in Branded Fusion, or Aluber in Branded Fusion, or Branded Lost. If you open with Kit or Branded Opening, then obviously it's a 2.5 card combo, because Kit and Branded Opening require a recycle into the deck or a discard. Let's go over the Gimmick Lock. Gimmick Lock can consist of 3 easy ways to make it, which would be Quem in Branded Fusion, Cartesia in Branded Fusion, or Aluber in Branded Fusion / Lost. Cartesia plus Branded Fusion is a 2.5 card combo, while the other 2 are 2 card combos. Reason is Cartesia is also going to need any light or dark to make Granguinol. For protection cards and interruptions, I'm running 10. I'm running 2 Nib, 2 Ash, and 2 Imperm, as well as the 1 Call By and the 3 Crossout Designator. With that being 10 cards, you have a 78% chance to open one of them in your opening hand. You have a 42% chance to see either Crossout or Called By to stop Ash. And if your opponent runs Ash, then they have a 33% chance of opening Ash in their hand. So you have pretty good odds to resolve the Branded Fusion. Some of the bricks in the deck are going to be obviously the Gimmick Puppet and Dark Magician. But let's say you open up Sarnir and Lubellion. Lubellion has nothing to search, and then Sarnir has nothing to banish from the graveyard. So there's a lot of 2-card combos in here that can end up leading to bricks. So like if you draw Sarnir alone, it's not really a brick, because you'll probably have something to put into the graveyard to banish to special summon this, or discard it. If you open Sarnir plus Opening or Sarnir plus Cartesia, then it's not so much of a brick. It really depends on the hand that you have. Some alternate tech options, I have them here with me. Let's talk about the Nadir package. So if you run the alternate tech options, I would take out Crossout Designator along with something else to put in Nadir Servant plus Maximus. So Nadir is a good extender and also a way around Ash Blossom. If you get ashed, you can activate Nadir Servant, add the Maximus, send the Titaniclad, and then at the end phase, Titaniclad's going to set up your Quem plus Albaz and Graveyard for the future to then special summon the Albaz from the graveyard with Quem, and then fusion summon with your opponent's extra deck monster. And then Maximus allows you to special summon it from the hand and then dump 2 extra deck cards from your opponent's as well as your own. So essentially this creates a main phase 3 at the end phase. Another package that you could be running is Super Poly. The problem I have with Super Poly is it requires a lot of extra deck space for Muddragon, Garura, and Dragostapelia. This is a really good board breaker. I don't think I would play this at a bigger tournament. I think this is mostly at a locals level. You just need to know what your locals is playing, and you can basically decide whether or not you want to put this package in, and if you can find room in the extra deck for this. But if you do end up putting these in the extra deck, it gives your hard draw Albaz more options to fusion summon with your opponent's shit. And the third package I want to talk about is the Etude combo. So the reason I don't play Etude anymore, and most people don't, is because at the end phase, Albion is usually going to set up Retribution face down for an Omni Negate. You could set this up with Lubellion, but Lubellion is most of the time going to be setting up your Branded Lost. So this is like a third card that, whether you hard draw this or the 2 other cards, then yeah, sure, like it's a good card to run, but also it's not something you really want to end on with setting it with Albion and then activating it and synchro summoning on your opponent's turn, because then you have to wait to then synchro summon, which causes a timing issue. Whereas if you just have the Retribution set, then you already have your Omni Negate essentially, and you don't have to create this situation that extends out into Barone or Chaos Angel. But if you did play the Etude package and you are just feeling it one weekend and you want to do something spicy, these 4 cards are what you want. And along with Etude, you also need the synchros, right? So that's going to create an extra deck. You know, like your extra deck capacity is going to be really tight. The fourth option is running Dark Ruler No More or Evenly Matched as your going second cards in the main deck. It's a good option, but let's say you open up something like Branded Opening and you have to discard something. Let's say you're going first and you open up a Dark Ruler No More and you just have nothing to do with it. You can discard it off of opening, but that doesn't synergize well with the deck after it ends up in the graveyard. It was just a discard cost. Whereas if you activate Branded Opening and dump your Saronir or a Tragedy that you hard drew, then you can get some extra stuff off of it, like Saronir sending Retribution to the graveyard, or Tragedy adding a Luber, right? Let's talk about alternate side deck options. I think some hand traps that we could be running this format is Droll Lockbird, Ghost Bell, and Ghost Ogre. These are really good side deck options depending on what you're playing against at locals. Some going second cards. I think Pink is a really good option. It's a free special summon and a pop. Radiant and or Santa Claus. I don't have Santa Claus, but Radiant isn't that big of a deal. Somebody in the comment section in my original video that I posted for the post-ban list said that Radiant could be used with if you kaiju their Arise Heart, because he's a level 7, they can take advantage of it and overlay. But at the point that you're radiating them, you're probably going to OTK them. And as well as a going second card, Evenly Matched. I think Evenly Matched is a pretty good side card as well. I think Dark Ruler No More has a little bit more play against certain decks, especially at my locals. And some going first side cards that you could be running is Dimensional Barrier. This card just hits like every single deck in the game right now. The only problem with those kinds of side deck cards is like you can't search them. Let's talk about reasons why I don't play these cards. Ad libitum. A lot of people started to drop this out of their deck, even last format prior to the ban list. Once Sayak came out and Sanctifier and Quem came out, like there's no point, because Sanctifier and Quem summon everything that you need from the graveyard. You don't really need Ad libitum. It's an extra brick in the deck, and I have Gimmick Puppet and Dark Magician in the deck already, so I really don't want to draw this. And we also don't end on Branded in Red every single turn anymore. You always want to typically set up Retribution face down with Albion once it's sent to the graveyard, instead of setting up Branded in Red. Most of the time, you might not even have a Despia in the graveyard to use Branded in Red, because all of your Despias are on the field, banished, or still in your deck or in your hand. Branded Red can also add Fallen of Albaz, but Fallen of Albaz you want to keep in the graveyard for Quem. Gold Sarcophagus and an extra copy of Mercurier. These cards are really good. It's just, I don't want to red that deck at 42. You could. It wouldn't hurt the ratios that much, and this is an extra way to Cartesia. I would say that's a personal choice. But for me, I really wanted to keep the deck at 40. And I have one Mercurier in the deck, and I can banish it with Saronir to add the Cartesia if I needed to. You know, we have triple fusion deployment. I really don't think we need this. Branded in White. I recently took out Branded in White because I started to realize that you need Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard for Quem or Sanctifier, right? And the old format, you would make Rhinebrum with Branded Fusion, right? And then you would end up sending Albion and Saronir to the graveyard with Granguinol, and then you would send the Retribution and the Branded in White, bring this back, and then end up with a Mirror Jade, and you'd have Rhinebrum, Mirror Jade, and Granguinol. But we don't really do that anymore. You typically want to end on Sanctifier, and Sanctifier and Quem are going to bring back the Albaz. So banishing the Albaz with Branded in White it's just not the play. It actually hurts you more. Branded in High Spirits, I think as the post-ban list format goes on, we're going to see how many people are playing Bystials and how well Bystials will affect the meta. If the Bestial package goes up, then we should be playing High Spirits. But right now I'm not, because the Bestial package is just so low. And the last card I have here is Branded Banishment. Branded Banishment is really good, but like I said earlier, Lubellion's going to set up your Branded Lost, and then Albion in the graveyard at the end phase is going to set up your Retribution typically, right? If you hard drew those, then this would probably be the next card to go for. But targeting one Despia or level 8 monster in the graveyard to special summon it, Quem and Sanctifier accomplish the same thing. And then Fusion summoning one level 8 or higher, well, Cartesia does that on your opponent's turn. So you really don't need this. I want to talk about two combos right now. First, we're going to go over Aluber and Branded Fusion. If you open up both Aluber and Branded Fusion, you can accomplish a Gimmick Puppet lock as well as 3 interruptions. So we're going to start with the Aluber. You're going to normal summon the Aluber and add Lost. Right? You're going to activate the Lost and then activate Branded Fusion. Sending Cartesia and Albaz to make the Sanctifier. And at this point, now you can get Activate Lost to search your second Cartesia. And because you have Albaz in the graveyard, thanks to Branded Fusion, you can special summon Cartesia and then activate its effect to fusion summon on the field using Aluber and Cartesia to make the Granguinal. Granguinal is now going to dump your Gimmick Puppet. And then you're going to pass turn. And then during your opponent's standby phase, you're going to activate Sanctifier, special summoning the Gimmick Puppet on your opponent's turn, special summoning Albaz onto the field. If you opened up Aluber and Branded Fusion, you're going to have 3 other cards. You're probably going to have something to discard for Albaz to fusion summon, which and then you are going to fusion summon for Lubellion. Your opponent now can't special summon monsters because Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is a lingering effect. Lubellion's going to activate, and then you're going to chain Lost. Lubellion sends for discard first, right? Oh, I apologize for the camera. Lubellion will then create the Mirror Jade by sending these 2 back into the deck. And then Lost will search your Mercurier. So now at this point, you have a monster negate, you have a banish, and if your opponent special summons a monster with the monster activated monster effect, you can tag this out for Lulu or Kiertis or Masquerade. Let's talk about another card combo. This one's a little bit more simple. Let's say you start with Cartesia, Sarnir, and any 3 cards, doesn't matter. You're going to normal summon the Cartesia and then attempt to activate effect by fusion summoning with Sarnir to summon the Granguinal. Sarnir is going to activate, and then you're going to change Sarnir, or vice versa. Sarnir will then send the Retribution, and then Granguinal is going to send the Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. And then Albion, the Shrouded Dragon, is going to put itself back into the bottom of the deck and then send Branded Fusion to the graveyard. And then you're going to activate Retribution in the graveyard, banishing it to add Branded Fusion to hand. So that is a 2-card combo to end up with Branded Fusion in hand with 3 of any other card. And at that point, you can start fusion summoning with Lubellion and Albaz from the deck. Albaz plus Lubellion to make your Albion. And then Albion's gonna activate by banishing the Albaz and the Sarnir. to make your Lubellion. And then Lubellion's going to activate, discarding a card, bringing back these two to make your Mirajade. And then you contribute the Albion for the Lubellion, setting the branded Lost face up onto the field. And you still have 2 cards in the hand. Now you have a Mirajade Interruption, 2 cards in hand, and Granguinal Interruption. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this was really informative. I hope I taught somebody something. If anyone has anything else for me in the comment section, please let me know. Tell me how I did. Tell me your opinions on the build. What things you think you should run over something else. I would also like to reiterate that my side deck options are going to be a little bit different, and main deck option tech choices like Crossout instead of Nadir or Super Poly. It really depends on the locals that you're playing at. Other than that, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.